Welcome back to Yogi Food, the show where we take healthy recipes and try them out for the first time, or we take not so healthy recipes and we see if we can make them healthier. Today we're doing a dinner meal. It's called Chicken Tetrazzini. It's something that I've made before and it's really good, but it's not so good for you. It's pretty high in fat. It takes a lot of butter, sour cream, cheese, cream of chicken soup. So today I'm going to try a couple of substitutes for the ingredients. Instead of butter, I'm going to use plain Greek yogurt. Instead of sour cream, I'm going to use cottage cheese. I tried to find substitutions for cream of chicken soup, but I couldn't find anything reasonable that made sense financially or was any healthier. If you have recommendations, I would love to know what they are. So if you want to leave those in the comments, I'd be really interested to see what other people have come up with. But for me, I'm just going to replace those two things. I've never tried those substitutions before, so it'll be interesting to see how they impact the flavor. I'm hoping the Greek yogurt doesn't do too much to the flavor. I don't want it to come out tasting too, I guess, sour or tart. But a quick rundown of the difference in macros of why sour cream is less healthy than cottage cheese and why butter is not as good for you as Greek yogurt. I wrote down the macros. I'm going to break them down. So Greek yogurt versus butter first. We're using, how much? We're using half a cup of Greek yogurt instead of half a cup of butter. So half a cup of Greek yogurt has 60 calories instead of 813 calories in butter. There's 1.35 grams of fat in half a cup of Greek yogurt versus 92 grams in the butter. 2.6 grams of carbs in the Greek yogurt versus 0.05 grams of carbs in the butter. So the Greek yogurt does have considerably more carbs in it, but carbs are not necessarily a bad thing as long as they're good carbs. So like this type of carb is going to be good for you because your body can use it for energy instead of using sugar for carbs, white rice, tortillas, bread. Those things tend to be stored more as fat instead of transformed into energy. And then finally we get to protein. Greek yogurt, half a cup of Greek yogurt has 10 grams of protein instead of 0.95 grams of protein in half a cup of butter. So pretty significant differences there. And then we get to the difference between cottage cheese and sour cream. So for sour cream, the recipe calls for 2 cups. We're going to use 2 cups of cottage cheese instead. 2 cups of cottage cheese has 470.4 calories versus 926.4 calories in the sour cream. So it's about half the calories, a little bit less than half. There are 20.64 grams of fat in 2 cups of cottage cheese versus 96 grams of fat in 2 cups of sour cream. But I am using low-fat cottage cheese instead of just regular cottage cheese, so I will calculate the macros for the whole dish and put that in the description down below. For carbs, cottage cheese has 16.32 grams instead of 13.92 grams in the sour cream. Again, there's a slight difference, whereas the cottage cheese has a little bit more carbs than sour cream, but it's not a significant difference. And then for protein, cottage cheese has 52.8 grams instead of 10.8 grams in the sour cream. So I'm pretty happy with the substitutions being healthier. All that's left to find out is if they're a good substitution for flavor. So this recipe is really easy. The hardest part is prep work. So you have to cook the chicken first. The recipe calls for chicken breasts. I'm using chicken thighs because they were cheaper and easier for me to find. So that's already been cooked and chopped up into little chunks ready to throw in. And then you have to pre-cook the linguine. It is 16 ounces, a whole package of linguine. That's already pre-cooked, sitting in the sink ready to throw in. So we got a mixing bowl. We're going to throw all of the ingredients together except for the cheese and the pasta. So I've got my 2 cups of cottage cheese. I'm going to dump that in now. There is half a cup of Greek yogurt here. Probably need a spoon to get it out. As you can probably guess, this is a really creamy dish. we go. Go ahead and put our chicken in here. It is it's supposed to be 4 chicken breasts, 4 chicken thighs. I just took the chicken thighs before I cooked them, and I like to cut some of the fat off first before I use it, just because thighs have a considerable amount more fat on them than chicken breasts, and I don't want it to cook down and be extra greasy. Let's get all of this in here. It's taking longer than I thought. I'm sorry if you can hear this horrible scraping noise. I'm trying to get all that I can. Okay, set that aside. And then we've got 1/2 cup of chicken broth. Usually I will try to use low sodium vegetable broth, but I already had chicken broth in the pantry, so it would have been dumb to go out and buy something else instead. So I'm using regular chicken broth today. And then 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. Ooh, gross. Now for this recipe, you're also going to need a 9x13 casserole dish. Because this is so creamy, the recipe doesn't say to prepare the casserole dish. Like, you don't have to spray it with any cooking oil or grease it with anything. This dish is already really creamy and greasy, to be honest, so we're not going to do that. I just have it waiting. Okay, so everything is mixed in except for the cheese and the pasta. I'm going to take my tongs and I'm just going to give it a stir, mix it all together. Nice, gross, nasty sounds. The tongs are not mixing like I thought they would. We'll use this instead. It's very creamy, making a really thick sauce that's going to coat the noodles really well. So we make the sauce, mix all of these wet ingredients together with our chicken. Then I'm going to grab my pasta. Throw my pasta in. Whoa, almost dropped it. I didn't want to butter the noodles. Usually when I'm making spaghetti, I try to butter the noodles so they don't stick together. I didn't want to add anything else to them, so they're kind of clumped together. Let's see if I can break them apart. Should be fine once they mix with the sauce. Okay, I have the pasta stirred in with all the chicken in the sauce. Now we're going to grab our casserole dish. 9x13 is what it says in the recipe. And that's what I have. I have 9.5 by 13.5. Close enough. It's fine. And we're going to dump all of this in here very carefully. This is super heavy. All right, you can see how creamy that is. The butter being so high in fat, combined with the sour cream and the cream of chicken soup being so fat, this is a really fatty, creamy, delicious recipe. I'm hoping it tastes just as good with our healthier options. We're going to level this out. I've had the oven preheating at 350 this whole time. And we're going to take our mozzarella cheese. 2 cups of mozzarella already measured out. I like to use low-fat mozzarella cheese. It doesn't taste any different to me. Have your pick there. We're just going to evenly distribute it across our casserole. The recipe also calls for 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. Sprinkle that really fast too. Nice and easy. All right. So all of that is put in our dish. Checking our recipe. It doesn't get covered or anything. Once we got everything in our dish and the cheese on top, we are going to throw it in the oven for 40 minutes. So again, just like with our last meal when we made the roasted sweet potatoes, my oven is really small, it's really narrow. So I'm going to put this in one direction for 20 minutes, set a timer, and then halfway through spin it around. Throw that in. Ooh, it's so heavy. Wow. Okay. I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes, bake it all the way through, and I will be back when it's done to try it. All right, the casserole is out of the oven. It's been 40 minutes. It looks fantastic. I'll show you. This is what it looks like, a beautiful casserole, just like you would expect, topped with cheese. So I've got a bite out. This is what it looks like on the inside. I'm going to try it. Hopefully it's cooled down enough that it's not going to burn me. I'm sorry if you have to listen to me chew. Gosh, I can't get a small enough bite. Okay. Still very hot. That is really good. That's really good. I can't taste any of that Greek yogurt whatsoever. That is really, really good. I will calculate the macros for the whole dish, and I will compare it to the original recipe so you can see how many calories and fats and stuff it would be in the original recipe versus how I made it. This would be really good with like a salad and some breadsticks, even though the breadsticks would add lots of carbs with the pasta. Not the healthiest decision, but it would taste really good. But yeah, that's this week's recipe. It is from Kitchen Fun with My 3 Sons, which is a blog that I found through Pinterest. So I will link them down in the description as well. So yeah, like, comment, suggestions for next week's recipes. I think I'm gonna do a dessert recipe. We've done breakfast, lunch, and dinner now, so I want to try a dessert. See if I can make a dessert feel healthy. But yeah, please subscribe, hit that subscribe button and bell so you get notifications every time I post, and share with your friends, and come back next week for some dessert. Bye!